just seen this from News Talk. What do we join the Commonwealth? Because I keep bringing that up because News Talk is, what do we join the Commonwealth? But this is to do with the tourist tax. And now I think they have this in New Zealand when you visit the country. They're talking about particularly Dublin. So I presume if you land in Dublin Airport, if you're a foreign national, on a tourist, like just a visit from America, take example, or take for argument's sake, Germany or Denmark, you'd come into Dublin to visit. I don't know why you would. Who in their right mind would come to Dublin, one of the most dangerous cities in the world at the moment? And what you to pay money. So take for example, they could charge €20 in a tourist tax, or €50, God only knows how much. But they're arguing, the local authorities, some councillors and stuff, and the Lord Mayor of Dublin, is a really good thing. It's not safe to walk around, but we're going to charge you to walk around. Now, this is stupid in many regards, because it's literally not safe. I was up in Dublin in January. It's literally not safe to walk anywhere. I wouldn't go down a Collins Street. It was too dangerous to walk anywhere. And that's an Irish citizen, because I don't trust the Garda. The Garda, you know where to be found. And you could be attacked. And again, there's many issues. And Dublin is not as clean and nice as it used to be. It's a dangerous place. It really, really is dangerous. And I hate to say it as an Irish citizen, as opposed to my capital city. We have let Dublin go to the dogs. And we're expecting tourists. Tourists are already paying enough. They're paying for a hotel. I had to pay a huge amount of money for a hotel for 3 nights. God forbid how much tourists have to pay. I looked it up. It's nearly €1,000 for about 5 nights for one person in some hotels in Dublin. Like, think about it. A lot of people are paying a huge amount of money in terms of a plane ticket. When they come to, they have to pay for a hotel, or if they're renting out, say, an Airbnb or something like that. It's a huge amount of money. Like, it really is. And then if you go out for a bit of grub, a bit of dinner, buy a few things, you're looking at a big bill, especially if there's a few of you. You spend a lot of money. Take for example, there was a couple from, I think it was the Netherlands, came over from the Netherlands for the St. Patrick's Day parade. There was two of them, two couples, like a relationship, and they paid $3,000. For only two of them, they paid $3,000 for the flights, the hotel, bits and grub and stuff. They paid about $3,000. I seen them put it up, but they were delighted. They loved the country. And that's the thing, they like the Irish hospitality and stuff, but it's still not safe. There's many instances of Dublin not being safe. But they're saying they could bring in 12 million a year. But see, if they stop giving the money to hotels to house asylum seekers and stuff, because at the moment of time, think about this. I know that I'm not saying far right oasis, whatever, long may it be. But at the end of the day, we're giving 2.7 million a day, or something like that, 2.8 million probably at this stage, to keeping asylum seekers in hotels. If we got rid of that, and it's about $1 billion a year, if we got rid of that, we would have the money. So I don't know what they're yapping about, because there's loads of money. We take, for example, there's money being thrown at bicycle sheds and stuff. There's money being thrown at things like that. If we get rid of that stupid fucking shite of bicycle sheds, fucking printers, doll printers, we could go on, security up to 1.7 million and stuff like that. We could go on, like, do you want me to go on? But this is a load of cock wallop, excuse my language, but it's literally the biggest cock wallop you ever heard in your life. Because it's a really good thing the former Lord Mayor says, is it? Because people are already paying enough. I'm sure to God he's not going to pay it, or pay for it. He won't go to a country, he's getting paid VIP tickets if he gets that one. But it's insane, because the hotel, the union for hotel, the whole Irish hotel, tourists to visit are pay enough without adding tourist tax. And that's true, they do pay enough. Like, they do pay enough. Ireland's not a cheap country to come and visit. It's not a cheap country to live in, full stop. But to be a tourist and stuff is not cheap. I went to Finland recently enough last year. I didn't have to pay a tourist tax. It's a dear country. I pay a lot of it. The average person who goes to Finland, any part of Finland, pays about €900 just to go to Finland and stay and all that. It's about 900, nearly €1,000 for one person. So you think about, if there was 3 people, you'd be probably paying about €3,000 for a few days. That's an average, because the majority of people go to Finland. They've done a survey. It was about 5 days or so people spend. A bit less, some cases 4, but it's around that, 4 to 5 days, and it's about 800, 850, something like that per person, nearly 900. So you take, for example, Ireland's probably even higher, to be told, because Ireland is insane in terms of coming here for tourists and stuff. As I say, and that's with 6.6 million tourists visit Ireland. There's a lot of people. Only about 2 million people visit Finland and stuff like that. And I didn't feel, and before I went to Finland last year, I walked around O'Connell Street, Grafton Street. I didn't feel safe at all. I didn't feel safe at all. In my own country, I didn't feel safe. That's just to put it straight out. But as soon as I went to Helsinki, I walked around every bit of Helsinki, never had an issue whatsoever, never felt threatened, never felt intimidated. I felt intimidated last time when I was in January, because there's people walking around and they're high on drugs. They don't know what day of the week it is. They could be liable to do anything. And these people there's no guard to be found anywhere, because they're all hiding in the barracks. And not to mention too, just in general, in terms of needles lying around the place, because I've seen many of them when I was up there. I was only 5 minutes up there and I came across needles everywhere. It's just not a nice place to be anymore, Dublin, unfortunately. When I was young, I used to love going up to the big city, looking around and stuff like that. But unfortunately, I wouldn't really go there, even though I was paid to do it now, to be honest. I only went there because I was going to a conference. And as soon as the conference was over, goodbye, I'm gone. That was it. I didn't stay to look around. But this is lunacy. Like, it's generally lunacy, because it'd be different if, say, for example, Dublin's one of the safest cities in the world, right? Like Helsinki or something like that. We could say, yeah, fair enough, people can pay a tourist tax, because people be safe. Because, take for example, we seen recently a Canadian person died in the streets of Dublin not too long ago. He was officially assaulted in the streets. And he was here as a tourist, and we're expecting him to pay a tourist tax, and he gets beaten to death, along with other people. There's many people of tourists that were beaten up in the streets of Dublin. We're expecting them to pay tourist tax, and they can keep them safe in the country, and they're paying an arm and a leg to come here, like as a tourist. But it doesn't make any sense, because if they got rid of all this waste in terms of bicycle sheds and all that, they would have the money. And first of all, there's businesses and stuff like that not pay enough in taxes and stuff, and the only Irish Joe not pay enough in taxes too. Where is all the money going to? Because, let's be fair, there is loads of money. It's been spent on fucking stupid stuff. It's not being spent on important things. And not to mention it's been spent on people to be kept in hotels and stuff like that, 2.7 million a day. Let alone 1.7 million a year, going on 2 billion a year. If we got rid of that, if we got even half of that, we would have the money for that. So I don't know what they're yapping. Because that's all, it's the yapping. It's yapping, that's all it is. Because there should be no way we should introduce a tourist tax in any part of the country. This is just in Dublin, but I wouldn't be in favour of the introduced in Cavan. Because still, at the end of the day, people are coming and paying here. They're not just turning up. They're paying for the flight, they're paying for a hotel, they're paying maybe for a rental car, they're paying for other stuff, other maybe tourist stuff, attractions, etc. And we're expecting people to pay more money. Like, are we really joking? And again, that would incentivise people. Because why would you pay a huge amount of money? Take, for example, me, when I went to Finland. I will keep using my example. But say, for example, I already paid a huge amount, and I talked to it before. I paid a huge amount to go. It was me and my mother. And I paid for a hotel when the centre of Helsinki. Because it was my first time away from the country. And I paid for a lot of tourist attractions. I paid for different things, whatever, for us up and eat. It was a lot of money now. It was a lot of money. It's not a cheap city. But I was happy. I had no issues at all. And as long as I'm happy, I have no issues at all paying a huge amount of money. Because it was a good service. I got a good service and it was well respected. And not to mention great hospitality and stuff like that. But long story short, I would have been probably annoyed if they came along and said, oh yeah, that'd be €100 at the airport to come into the country for a tourist tax, take for example, for argument's sake. It was €100, €200, for argument's sake, just for arguments, we could say it's €100 each, for arguments. I don't think they would charge, like, they couldn't get away with doing €100 each in Ireland. They couldn't do it. Maybe €50, maybe €20, but they couldn't get away with it. But if they could, they would. But I don't think so. But this Lord Mayor the former Lord Mayor needs to cop on a bit. Because I don't think because there's loads of money, because again, loads of tourists are coming here. It'd be different if there was nobody turning up. Like in countries where there's nobody turning up, you could argue that we need to introduce a tourist visa and tourist tax. Because there's nobody turning up, we need the money. Right, fair enough. There's loads of people turning up to Ireland. I can't tell you the amount of people to turn up. There's so many people coming, particularly Americans. As I say, 6.6 million is a lot. Like the small countries in the Bahamas, take for example, other small places, other islands, don't even see that. They don't even see 1 million people. And we're coming, we need 7 million people alone in 2024. Think about that, 7 million people. It's an insane, double the population of Ireland, double the population, more than the people in the island of Ireland. Think about that. Because it's lunacy. And then, we want to charge them more. Like, that would decentivize people coming here. And we want people to come here. And I do want people to come here. And I'm sure the majority of Irish people do on tourists. Because it's such a lovely country. We do have a good soul in this country. And it's such good hospitality we have in our restaurants and our hotels. And just the Irish crack alone and the atmosphere. And the history of Ireland. The history is so important. Our historic landmarks, our culture, Newgrange. We could go on the Cliffs of Moher. Beauty, like generally, money couldn't buy it. To be totally honest, money couldn't buy our natural landscape and history, our culture. No money in the world could buy it. But what I'm trying to say, we want people to come and experience that, to be telling their friends, I went to Ireland and had a great time. We want that. We generally want that as Irish people. We want them to go and experience the Irish culture, the Irish traditions. But unfortunately, that's all nearly gone now because logic. But anyway, thank you everyone. Let me know what you think. Subscribe more and bye.